Okay, so not sure that I really want to do this, but I keep getting called to, so I'm just going to have to suck it up. It's going to be a little piece on twin flames. I did write an article and it feels much easier for me to sort of write things than come on here, but anyway. I guess because a lot of the things that I read and follow at the minute, and just energetically, with the shift happening on the eclipse on the 20th and everything moving quite fast, and with a lot of planets in May just shifting, and I'm not an astrologer, I follow people that I trust, and also at certain times of the month and when there's big collective shifts, I feel things and things come through me, and there'll be more on that in the future, but I tend to channel through dance through some fairy movements that have been coming through, which might sound weird to people, but I have certain entities that come through me, light beings, and channeling pretty hard at the minute. But it seems to be sort of an intensification of the energetic connection at the minute. And that's not to say that I am with or going to be with my twin flame. That isn't the mission. The mission is when the connection happens, or maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so twin flames, lots of people will be hearing about soulmates, twin flames, and karmics. The more we get into this sort of spiritual path, we're all spiritual beings anyway. So when we say spiritual awakening, I mean, we're already spiritual, but these are the terms that I guess we've become familiar with. As we expand into our gifts and abilities and psychic connection to people around us, and we can feel that with friends and family, you know, when someone calls you and you've been thinking about them that morning, or, you know, loads of other sort of little strange synchronicities. We say random, but nothing is really ever random. They just feel random to us because it's just like, what? How is this happening? So we have soulmates. Soulmates can be non-intimate, they can be friends, teachers, just people that we feel we have a deep connection with. They tend to be quite smooth relationships. Obviously human relationships are challenging anyway, and there are always difficulties, but soulmates tend to be more harmonious relationships that we encounter throughout life. Karmic relationships tend to be quite tumultuous, turbulent, and can be very painful and toxic. But the lessons that come out of them, the lessons that come out of them are quite profound and life-changing, can put us on different trajectories as we move through life. I've experienced both karmic and soulmates. And especially it seems to be accelerating the more that I, work with shamanic practices and drumming and connect with soul tribe, soul family, however we want to call it, around the world, just people that I feel that I've known before. And then there's a twin flame, which back in the day when I was like surface level spiritual, I'd read about, I sort of knew the term, but certainly didn't understand it in the ways that I do, having gone through the experience with, I'll say with my twin, but it was actually felt like it was pretty much on my own, because I'm not sure that he believes this kind of stuff, or I guess I thought we were on the same spiritual path, but I was brutally mistaken. So anyway, so twin flame basically is a manifestation of, well, it's a split of our soul. We're separated when we incarnate on this planet, both with our own missions. A little bit of awkward body language there, because I don't really know where this is going, but it's coming through strong now, so I guess it's some form of release for me, which I honour, and I honour when my guides tell me to sort of speak. And I want to be clear for this eclipse energy to come through, because I'm already feeling a lot. So twins obviously signify dual incarnation, and we are connected at a soul level, like our soul is meant to be identical. So energetically I'm connected to somebody around the world that we've lived, well, through this lifetime, connected at a very deep level that doesn't really energetically be felt until it happens. I guess if it's destined for us. Some believe it's the 144, that we all have twins and therefore we're the 288, but anyway. And this is not me saying I'm arrogant, I'm the 144, but I do know that I am here for a mission. I do know that I am on a path that's very different and unique to other people, as we all have our own unique paths. So yeah, we incarnate, and I guess it's part of our path to either meet or not meet our twin flame, depending on how awakened we become throughout our life. So when a lot of stuff happened to me, again, I say 3 years ago, end of 2019, start 2020, I went onto this sort of spiritual path where I was training. I did crystal healing training, did singing bowl training. Certain things resonated with me, others didn't. Did a lot of more life modelling. I did a lot of dark goddess work, did delving into the shadows. I mean, I have Scorpio quite a lot in my chart. I became an end-of-life doula. The whole death space, sex space, sacred space, taboo things have always interested me, have always drawn my spirit, whether that's been in my best interest or not, part of the course. But yeah, the article that I wrote about might be easier to follow with or after this. But basically something happened. I met somebody online on Instagram, which is not the way that I usually do things. I have been on, Tinder and all of that. I met my ex on Tinder, and, I guess it can work if the intention's there. But loads of sort of connections can be trauma bonding, and because people are so desperate for love and to not be alone, that we end up sort of rushing into things. And anyway, without looking backwards, we'll move forwards. So after that connection, I sort of pulled back and did a lot of work on myself. And so having met this person on Instagram, there was an instant recognition that we, one, have definitely visited the same places in the world. Two, he's not from the same sort of culture as me, and that's a culture that, I'd always wanted to learn that language. It'd always come up. I was dancing to music in that language. It was just all very, very strange. And I found myself, I don't really watch stories on Instagram. It's not to not support people. I just tend to sort of put things out one directionally just because I've got lots of things going on. We all have. I try to look where I can, but I don't really watch people's stories. And I just started to get a little bit obsessed, very, very deeply connected to this person, where I was checking in and had all of these. I started to have dreams. I started to have downloads from his ancestors, messages from spirit. Very, very strange, erratic behaviour on my part. Not a lot of people would have seen that. Maybe the person I was living with, but ultimately it was kept to myself. I didn't really share this because I didn't know what the fuck it was. Kind of shared it with him, and he didn't really give a shit. Which was obviously quite brutal because it's your heart. So yeah, that was at the end of 2021. A couple of months after the initial connection, and really feeling his soul, feeling his pain, feeling certain things he was going through. I messaged him, I just needed to pull back, so I sort of unfollowed and went on a very strange experience by myself, and also went into ceremony with mushrooms, so then got further downloads, which was quite interesting. And then sort of, I guess we were back in touch. I didn't know that he was connected to somebody else. Again, nervous body language. I don't know why I'm nervous. Anyway, because it's just fucking weird. So, got back in touch, but it was a no strings attached sort of attitude. So I was okay, cool. I don't really know what to do with this emotion or these feelings because, well, if you do truly believe you're a twin soul, because then we've got the same fucking soul. So it's not like I can do cord cutting rituals and just like I've done with other people, and feel a lot lighter and free. I think it's more actually becomes a mental decision to stop the connection. But anyway, I happened to decide to travel after 2 years of not travelling in June 2022. And was very drawn back to the country where he was from. Or I think he's from, I'm not really sure. I kind of have an inkling that he might be from somewhere else, but anyway. Has connections to and spends time in. And I am has always been drawn to this area of the world, and did some deep sort of connections and to spirit and ceremonies and rituals by myself in the woods for about a week. Thought I might meet this person, but that wasn't the intention of the visit. It was to really understand like connection to past lives and Moors that had moved through this land. And anyway, that didn't happen, and something made me decide to just like sack all that in. So when I got back to the UK, I decided to make a conscious decision that I wasn't going to like hold on to this, what I thought, pretend connection, because it felt obviously one-sided, and focused on my own journey. So sort of booked the flight to Jamaica. I'd spent that summer working with some really nice people with singing bowls and coaching and doing some ceremonies, psilocybin ceremonies with clients. And I went to Jamaica in September. And it was at that point when I disconnected completely that he started to reach out again. He messaged me at certain times. A lot of us will know that on this path you see synchronicities, sort of like mirrored numbers. Anyway, I got a few missed calls and messages, and I guess when your heart's involved or it is your twin flame, it's not like you can necessarily ignore or want to ignore if you feel someone else's pain. So I did respond, but I then put him on block and carried on with Jamaica, which was like the first round of activations and healing that I experienced, and it was profound. I'll talk about Queen Nanny and all of that another time, but yeah, some very profound things happened. And then I got the opportunity to do a little bit of work, so I went back to the UK and went on a whole journey, emotional journey through all of that, and just carried on my path. Went to Jamaica again in January. None of this is holidaying, yeah. This is intentional action towards creating a life in a place that I don't like it, that I could potentially see myself creating a life outside the London and the UK, because I don't want to be there. I don't want that life. So you need to put yourself in situations that that are in alignment with your highest timeline and your visions. And January was again strange. What you realise is when you disconnect from your twin flame is that you open the door to other deep soulmate connections that may or may not make sense. I also feel that my energy is growing, which can attract certain people who may not see me in the most balanced of lights. But anyway, I had a very deep soul connection with somebody else, realising that when you do disconnect from the twin flame connection, because it isn't about being with them, it sparks us off onto this whole journey of self-worth, what you'll accept, how you want to be loved, love languages, your mission in the world, and just not ignoring yourself because you want to be in a connection or a partnership with this person. You just continue on your own path and you just focus on your own life and your own mission. So that's when other soulmates come along, and that's where you start to understand and really feel the difference between karmics, soulmates and twin flame, because the energy is very different. The accountability, the triggering, the energy is very different between all of them. And as I've said before, the soulmate connection is much more harmonious. Both seem to be wanting to serve the relationship, whereas a twin flame, I guess, you know, from my experience, was the initial denial. It was one person believing something over the other. One person being on their own accelerated spiritual journey, like I had this whole crash happen to me, which put me on my path. It's been pretty quick from my understanding when I speak to other people that have been through similar things or that are on their own path, is that those of us that have moved through like the spiritual awakening from 2020 to now, it's very quick succession of things that show up and how we can tap into our gifts. And anyway, so yeah, other soulmate connections have come forth, none that feel fully aligned with me long term now. So I'm on my path and I'm focusing on where I need to go and the highest version of myself and health. And when you're in a place where, like where I'm currently at, I don't get access to ingredients all the time or things I'm used to, or a blender or chickpea flour and all these beautiful alternative foods. So I'm just basically spending time healing from a few things that happen in the UK. Again, another part of this journey where you realise the higher you move into the light, the darkness is also present, and people can be using dark magic and other things in this scenario. Perhaps people connected to my twin flame who feel that I intentionally set out to destroy a relationship or hurt people, which is not the case at all. It's just not me. I'm not going to get involved with someone once I understand or overstand that they are in a loving, intimate relationship with someone. That's just not, it's not what I'm about. And I'm certainly, after abstaining from sex from 2021, the whole year, I wasn't looking to rush into anything at all. So, you know, I think people have various judgments of me, but this whole sort of twin flame experience has been very, very profound, very deep. Many people wouldn't, well, some people have said to me, I couldn't be bothered with that shit, and it's just not like I have a choice. When stuff is coming through your soul, your mind, your body, what do? Ignore it? I'm going to repress it? Yeah, great. That's not how we do things anymore. And this year, as we know, the age of light, and I've written it, I've said it, is nothing is going to be left unearthed. All stones will be turned over. The darkness is coming up. That is why there is a lot of shadow work being done now, consciously or unconsciously, by ourselves, or we who are consciously on this path, triggering others who do not want to do the work. But I guess to round it up, because this is getting a pretty long message, I don't even know how it's going to upload from a phone, is April 2023 seems to be heating up again. The connections seem to be growing, the sacred unions, because the whole point of the twin flame love and the union is to propel the love mission in the world and to raise the vibration of the planet as we move into a new earth, with unconditional love at the forefront. But as we know, unconditional love is also for ourselves, self-respect, valuing the people that we have around us. And if something doesn't serve us, then there's no point in having that person around, or having that thing around, or being in that job, because it will ultimately make us ill. And we block all other healthy dynamics and relationships and job opportunities coming our way because we're focusing on something that's not serving our highest good. So with that said, I don't even know if I'm going to post this. I'm going to watch it back, I guess, when I got time. But twin flames, it's a whole roller coaster, banana-rama of stuff I never thought I'd experience, didn't really ever knew that it existed in this way. And so props to all the twin flamers out there. I've met two, both very strangely with deep connections to Jamaica. One is in Jamaica but it's not Jamaican, and one was born in Jamaica but lives in London. Both are on the twin flame journey, and my gosh, when you find people that you can actually talk to about this stuff, it makes you, it's just so soul gratifying, because you don't feel like you're a mental. Even though many people are calling me or labelling me as a mental at the minute, but don't give a shit. So having these people to talk to about the activations and the psychic connection really, really helped. I'm very grateful to my sister, who, again, another synchronicitous encounter. She's a soulmate for me. She come through a very strange situation, how we met, but instant connection between her and I, and the knowledge that she had to share about her path, and also her connection to spirituality, has been profound. And I'm very glad that I'm not alone on this journey. Many of us around the planet are feeling these connections. And again, whether we come into union or not is not the point. We've let things go now. It's just, we can't detach ever from, well, we can, I guess, consciously detach, but we will be connected to this person for the rest of our days. And it's not like I think about it, doesn't come into the day-to-day, minute-by-minute reality. It's just at the moment it seems to be popping up again after a period of not thinking about him. So yeah, I guess that's the story of me and Big Man. That's my name for him, because at the beginning I didn't really know his name because he lied. Because actually I forget how all of this happened, is that I went into meditation, a very, very profound vision, and certain names were calling me. And then when we met on Instagram, he told me his name, and it was the same name that had been in my meditation for the week preceding mine and his interaction on Instagram. So yeah, feel for all the twin flamers, sending loads of love to everybody on this path. I mean, who knows where the fuck we're going, but I know that this week, 20th of April, and then yeah, it's my Earth Strong at some point. There's a lot going on, and let's remain grounded. Let's remain with love in our hearts, not settling or putting up with any shitty behaviour from any other connections that we go into. We know our worth now. Yes, we can give people the benefit of the doubt, but as soon as we start to see the love that we give not being reflected back, which is quite difficult. My love is overwhelming for people, what I'm realising at times, which is weird because I'm not turning it down. So someone's got to meet me here. And many of my friends do. I mean, many of my soul family, I guess, can see me, but others it just overwhelms, which I guess is a shame, because it means that they've not met that part of themselves yet. So anyway, 23:03 on the clock. I'm out of here.